Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Ashwastes nomads and some Orlocks from Adepticon. That's basically all I'm going to cover in this video. My Necromunda videos seem to do better than other ones, so I'm going to specialise in those from now on. I will talk about other things, but I'm going to specialise in Necromunda. We're going to talk about the Ashwastes reveals, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what they said on the video on demand as well. We haven't got much beyond that. I'm going to talk also a little bit about the terrain and the box itself, but mainly about the reveals of the Ashwastes nomads. If we look at the box contents first, the box contains the special dice, it contains the templates, and it contains the two forces, the Ashwastes nomads, the Orlocks. It also contains some buildings, a mat. It doesn't say whether they're tiles or whether it's a cloth mat. We have to see on that. And we also get some interesting models as well as a book. I'm not sure how detailed the book is. Will the book just be a very basic get you by book like one of the other or two of the others games have had, or will it be an actual setting with campaign rules and the nitty gritty that the first one in, I think it was 2017, and then the box they did with the corpse grinders versus the arbiters or arbites, depending on which one, or enforcers, whichever flavour you want to call them. They're basically arbites, but they're renamed them. So the main models are the quads and the Ashwastes nomads. The quads are a vehicle choice for Orlocks, apparently with the new Ganger type. I'm guessing it's going to unlock some kind of riding or driving skills like GOOOOOOO had. There was a driving, I believe, category where you could do special manoeuvres and stuff. We have to see what the vehicle rules are in Necromunda, or if they're new, if they're just very taken from GOOOOOOO or Speed Freaks and just implanted into this one, or whatever they are. We'll have to see what they are, because the vehicle rules can get overly complex in certain games, where especially when you have chase mechanics and then you add like chariot rules, such as like boarding other people's vehicles and stuff like that. It can get very in depth with vehicle rules, and we have to see how much the rules go into that kind of minutiae. The 6 main gangs, so that's Orlock, Cawdor, Escher, Goliath, Delac and Vansar, are each going to have their own specific vehicle with a new Ganger type. This puts the Scabies again right down on the list, because they're going to release all those vehicles. Whether they choose to release neutral vehicles for outlaw gangs such as the Corpse Grinder Cults, Gene Stealer Cult, and various other gangs that can use them, especially Chaos Hellic gangs, and maybe the Venators with neutral vehicles. We don't know, and we won't know until further into the future. I think we will get some neutral vehicles, but we don't know yet, so don't quote me on that. Looking at the Ashwastes themselves, the nomads themselves, they have a generic foot choice and them riding a sort of like monster. So we're going to talk about the foot choice first, and then we'll wrap up with the riding monster. Oh, we can also talk about the terrain, really. The terrain just looks like those old mantle forts that were in the North Sea and around Britain during the Second World War. Some of them are still operational. I think there's a guy who lives on one he's called himself like a prince or a king of one of these mantle forts, and they even sent the SAS to storm it, and they lost. So he's basically like an irritation to the British government, the guy who still lives on one, and yeah, he calls himself the prince or a king or some shit like that. But it doesn't really matter, because, well, you know, he is an embarrassment, but it really doesn't affect anything, because they're going to rust and fall apart unless he's got the money to maintain it. The nomads themselves come in 2 pictures. The first picture contains the leader with sort of like a chain spear, a very long rifle, a sort of like mini carbine, pistol and some sort of melee weapon and another carbine type weapon. We don't know what the weapons are except one, which I talked about on Twitter earlier with my other video, which was a long rifle. However, the rifle in this picture is significantly larger than the one displayed with the long rifle, so what the hell that is, we don't know. The second one is, again, we saw the one with the long rifle here before, and there's again pistol, another person with a really big rifle, another carbine, and some sort of shoulder mounted, it looks like a missile launcher or something, a grenade launcher or something like that, which is good because Ashwastes nomads need that weapon to crack into the hives and crack open the vehicles that they're raiding. Remember, the Ashwastes nomads consider the Ashwastes to be theirs. You are intruding into their land, and they are very, very territorial. They do look like the Sand People from Star Wars, or that kind of post-apocalyptic scavenger look that you get in some games. I think it was called like Mutant Chronicles or something like that. It was like a really, really old PC game, way back in like 93, 94, so that's how long I'm talking about. There was a weird mechanic in that, like you could become like a superhero because of mutations, because of radiation, and one of the NPCs was basically a chili man, and he got powers from like eating radioactive chili. It was so random. I wish I could find out what it was called, but I've never been able to find it since. I might have imagined it because I was on a lot of crazy stuff back then. The last thing is the Dustback Hellknight Riders. They are a monster choice, like a riding choice for the nomads themselves. They are giant fleas, which they called them in the VOD. They look less like fleas and more like grasshoppers, in my opinion. They've got a very powerful hind leg, so I can see why they've called them fleas because of that. But they've got like a spike on their nose, and the fleas don't really have those spikes. But they are really interesting. They're the second rideable insect in Gamesworkshop's line, coming from the bloatflies. However, these are a lot more chitinous and a lot more, well, insecty in my opinion. Flies withstanding where they're very gross and they're very no-glass. These seem very, well, as I've said, chitinous. They look very clean and very, you know, have that weird sheen to them. I wonder how that they will work, because riding was a thing in the Muti gang in Gorkamorka, so maybe they'll use a similar rule set and the riders will have their own specific riding skill. We'll see. Will there be any more monsters? Again, we will see. Hopefully there will be. I really hope that we get some sort of like Bantha comparison, or some sort of like big rideable beast, maybe with a bigger gun. That would be interesting to see, but that's all we have. I'm not going to talk about the other releases from Adepticon, simply because other channels are going to do that better than I am, and these Necromunda videos seem to run better for the channel than other videos, even the manga videos, really, to be honest. But yeah, so when we come back, I'm going to be looking at maybe some Corsair stuff in the future as well, and that's it really. I am excited to see what they will do and how the campaign will work, if it's in that book or if not. If it's not, then again, it's going to be another one of these things that it's going to be a book that you need to actually use a box set, and that's going to be irritating, because they did that with the Delac versus Escher box that they did. It was only like a mini campaign in that, and you would need the other books. And as much as there is good in Necromunda 2017 or Ashwastes, there is a lot of those little books which get invalidated by a year, so I can see a lot of annoyance. That's why there's a lot of communities out there that use the living rule book, which is frequently updated. What I will try and do is I'll put a link to that if you're interested in that. That living rule book is free for download, basically. It just contains all the rules without any flashy pictures. But there we go. And you don't have to have like 19 books just to use some of the scenarios, so yeah. saying all that, we will see what happens in the future with Ashwastes. There is also a paint coming apparently. It's a technical paint apparently as well. So for your bases in the Ashwastes, it covers you for that, which is basically just a bone coloured paint with some grit in it. And you know, you can probably knock yourself up that yourself if you know, if you didn't want to get a new technical paint. Basically, you just buy yourself some bleach bone or something, add some maybe Rakarth flesh into it and some grit. You can pick up grit quite cheaply elsewhere, as long as it's like the coarse grit, or even cut out pieces of sandpaper, cheap sandpaper that you can buy for £1 in Poundland, or the equivalent in your area, and you can just cut circles out them and put them on the base and just cover them in paint for your Ashwastes. That's one way of doing it, of course. Maybe I will do a video on that and show how it's done, if people would be interested in that. But thank you all for your time. I've been Trix, everyone, you've been you. And please like and subscribe. I have been losing some subscribers recently. I think that if people don't watch videos, YouTube tends to unsubscribe people. So please check if you are subscribed. And if you can leave me a nice comment and what you would like to see me talk about in the future regarding Necromunda, that would be awesome as well. Maybe I will go back and do more time as well, and Gorkamorka, and maybe some Man of War videos as well. That would be interesting to cover, simply because there isn't that much content out there for them, and they are very old games, and maybe it would be interesting to dive back into the history of the game and look at it. Thank you all for your time. Do take care of yourselves, and bye bye.